Rekieta Law has proven himself over the past several years to be not who he initially claimed to be. Initially presenting himself as a wholesome Christian family man, small time lawyer who was just doing YouTube streams for fun, he eventually became a parody of himself. He essentially descended into the absolute depths of internet insanity. And today, we will be documenting the top 10 most defining worst Rekieta Law moments, starting with number 10.
The Baldo.
We're starting with the basic bitch situation for number 10, the Baldo. The infamous sex toy that Rekieta demonstrated on stream. In exquisite detail, he demonstrates how the thing is supposed to work, emphasizes that his black best friend left it by his bedside, and laughs at this thing in front of thousands of people.
So here you go. This is the Baldo. And this number, this is Drexel's. This is unused.
Unused by you.
But this number you got to do and shove your balls in there.
Or you could have real sex like a normal person.
And it's really terrifying that you might snap them shut. And it just, like, these things kind of get in the way. All right? So, no ring, not recommended. Once you put this fucker on, first, this guy goes on, and it goes on way easier. You got to lubricate the inside of this thing. All right? And you got to lubricate your ball sack. But then you pop this thing open, drop the boys in, and then this thing goes right up to the top. All right? This thing goes on real fucking easy once that's all contained. Way, way better once you got one ring on. Now, I can't tell you about two rings, but two rings is going to be, we'll see. Might have to wait a couple days. Oh, but that's the weird thing about it. You have to put it on while you are completely unaroused. You have to put it on while you're completely unaroused. If you try and put that thing on while you have an erection, it will not fucking work. Guys, you know about this. What's my affiliate link? I don't have one yet. I've got to respond to their email. But anyway, so I'm thinking two rings will be great. Let me be clear, though. No rings was awesome. One ring was awesome. I'll let you know about two rings. I did not hit the ballgasm yet. Still looking for that one. Maiden says, what about the dick? Oh, okay. It's a little graphic, but you'd read the same thing on the website, but it's true. It, once you get going, that thing takes off. And, it lays on top of your lady bits like this. And sometimes like this. You will enjoy it. How does it not slide off your balls as soon as you pull? Trust me. It ain't fucking going anywhere. But anyway, it's yeah, more experience necessary, and eventually I'll do a full review. What she had to say about the Baldo was, at first she said, damn. And then second, she said, I very much enjoyed it. So.
What you have to understand about this sequence, and the reason why it became so infamous so quickly, was that at this point, Rekieta was able to write off all of his weird sex talk and degeneracy as just being a joke, bro. But this was the last straw for a lot of people. People began to catch on to the fact that Rekieta was, in fact, a degenerate. This was obvious to a lot of people who were just kind of paying really close attention. I had fallen off way before this, for the record, but this was the moment where general audiences began to realize that like something was seriously wrong with this guy because he had spent so much time building up this image as like the traditional family man Christian lawyer, and this flew in the face of that image. Right? People began to realize that that image was just a grift. Rekieta was not who he claimed to be.
Killer King says, still not talking about Vic. Well, I've heard something about an order for Vic to pay, which he already had a judgment. So if you really want to talk about the order for Vic to pay, there you go.
A bit of background on my history with Nick Rekieta. I first heard of him in regards to the Tonka Saw situation. Right after that happened, Dame Pesos did a supercut of Tonka Saw getting into the beef with Andy Worski and what that led up to, like the drama leading up to it and the fight, if you could call it that. Um, I was exposed to Nick Rekieta through there. And when he started being involved in the Vic Mignogna case, I started paying attention to him there. So my roots with Rekieta essentially begin with the Vic Mignogna situation, right? And this is something that anybody who knows anything about Rekieta will tell you made his career. This was, of course, a situation in which an actor from an anime's dubbing studio, Vic Mignogna from Funimation, got completely screwed over by corrupt coworkers because of his personal and political beliefs. This has been clearly on the back burner for a long time. Anybody who knows anything about the situation was well aware that like a lot of the people there didn't like Vic because of his popularity and other issues, but it all came to a head when Vic was unceremoniously fired because of the clique that had developed in this organization, in this company, right? And so a lot of fans were upset about this because this is something that's been an issue for a long time in these kind of communities, is that like conservatives are being prejudiced against by these more liberal run companies. So Nick Rekieta came writing to the rescue saying that like, oh, let me handle this. And so like he started covering the case. He set up a GoFundMe. He was a big advocate for Vic all throughout that period, all throughout the trial. And it all ended in disaster.
Low Watermark says, was Ty Beard at fault for Vic losing? Look, I'm going to say not two things on that. Ty Beard speaks for Ty Beard, and Ty Beard accepted responsibility entirely for the performance of Beard and Harris. Okay? Look, law firms, depending on the composition of them, do work in a manner consummate to their own processes. I do not work for Beard and Harris, never have, probably never will. I guess it's some weird slim possibility, but I don't know how they structure their business. I don't know how they delegate tasks and assignments. I don't know who's involved in doing what there. Ty Beard, as head of the project, as the lead attorney, said that any of the decisions and stuff like that were on his shoulders. He's never blamed anyone else for anything that's happened there. I'm not an employee of Beard and Harris. I never represented Vic as an attorney in this case, although let me be very clear before anybody draws conclusions from that. There are things that I have talked about with Vic related to this case that should be protected by attorney-client privilege, so to speak. I don't want to imply that just because I didn't represent him in the courtroom, that there's nothing in there that would be presumably protected or not, actually, because that's a determination that needs to be made if it ever becomes relevant. Right now, to me, it's not relevant. I'm not the guy who drafted anything for Vic, who represented him in court. I was just an observer who happens to be a lawyer, who made a referral, and Vic got to choose the representation that he chose, based not on me, but on his discussions with that person and what he thought about, their legal strategy. I have not been Vic's lawyer. This is such a weird thing that so many people have tried to unravel. And it's a really simple question. Are you Vic's lawyer? No. Have you ever been Vic's lawyer? No. Who's responsible for this? Ty came on the stream and said it's on him. So there you go. You have your answer.
Nick was the one who recommended Ty Beard to Vic Mignogna. Like, they're old friends, and Nick had Ty Beard on his show near constantly, hyping up like, oh, how badly we were gonna shove it to Funimation. Oh, we were gonna make all those people pay. Oh, Vic was gonna get his job back, and all the problem children would be fired, and anime would be saved because of Ty Beard. And what happened? This Lionel Hutz tier attorney comes in, fails to notarize his evidence properly, and the judge promptly throws the case out. Right? Again, I've I've been very vocal about this for a long time. I always believed that it was a very long shot case for Vic to win the case. For me, it made more sense to kind of establish that like the entire situation was messed up, but there's no real chance of like serious legal repercussions as to what happened from my perspective. But that's not what Nick and Ty were saying. Right throughout all of like the Cake Vic saga, these guys were coming on like every night, every other night, and just going like, oh, like let's go over our tweets with Ron Soye. Let's talk about Monica Rio. Let's make fun of Arms Girl, right? Let's do everything except actually prepare for the case. And that is the thing that caught my attention, like before the case even went to trial, was that like, why is Ty Beard going on an internet show talking trash about the opposition? Why is he not actually preparing his case? Right? The cope for like a lot of people for the longest time was uh that like he knows what he's doing, blah 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 blah. Like, but no, like we know now that he didn't know what he was doing. This guy was on an internet show drinking until the early hours of the morning instead of working on the case, and instead of working on other cases. And they had like other people on his law firm come in too, like the Amazons, like his daughters came on at certain points. Like, again, what seems to have happened, considering Nick recommended Ty Beard to Vic, is that Nick recommended someone that he knew he would be able to exploit for his own benefit. Now, this is the thing that a lot of people get confused about when it comes to the Nick Vic Mignogna thing, is that like, people thought that like Nick was extorting money from Vic or like getting some kind of kickback or representing him as his lawyer. No, that wasn't the issue, right? Like there was a speculation that he was stealing the co-funding money. No, like that didn't happen. What did happen though, and I think this was a much bigger issue, is that Nick built a YouTube empire off of this case, right? There's no way this was an accident. Like this comes off like an extremely calculated move on Nick's part, where he utilized this case, where he weaponized the anime community, the autism of these like diehard fans regarding this specific situation, and utilized that to propel himself to the top. Up until the end of like 2022, like he was one of the biggest super chat live earners on the platform. And a big reason for that was because at the time, he was the only person who was talking about these issues with any kind of professional credibility at all. What that means is that a lot of people were coming to him with all kinds of like legal problems and advice and like wanting him to cover certain things. And for a long time, he dominated this niche on YouTube and excelled at it for a long, long time. But he got there by exploiting someone, He got there by exploiting a situation with Vic Mignogna, with the anime community, that he clearly didn't care about. Not just as a fan, because of course he's not an anime fan. He's always claimed that he's not, but like as an individual. Like he did not care about Vic Mignogna as a person at all, other than what he could gain from covering the case personally. Like that was what the draw was for Vic, right? And once that case ended, once it ended embarrassingly for Ty Beard in the case, like once those people were thrown under the bus, like Nick tried very desperately to just kind of brush it under the rug and move on. That's what you're seeing here, and that is why this situation was so disgusting.
Speaking of homoerotic tension, let's go into Nick Rekieta.
All right.
Weird things about Nick is that although he's married to a woman with 5 children, he seems to have this very strong fascination with homosexuality.
These two?
Yeah, so they're husband and wife.
So they're sexually active, okay.
And then Rekieta's wife is there, and
Yeah.
Rekieta's in the hot tub with them.
Okay.
And they're basically like joking about being swingers, but it's not really a joke because they're actually in a hot tub swinging together, getting drunk.
Okay.
So there's this
Is
this weird sexual dynamic going on here where Lady Rackets wants to fuck this guy's wife. She wants to scissor him, and then Rekieta wants to have sex with him. So it's not actually like the swinging that you would traditionally expect.
Wait. Toe's wife was a listener. To what?
To Rekieta.
To us? Oh, to Rekieta.
So it's all just crazy.
All right, so this is like very
it's all this like
incestuous.
weird, like gay,
incestuous
swinging,
style
cuckold shit.
All right.
The accusations towards Rekieta being a swinger are nothing new. We know he's attended some sex resort in Jamaica called Hedonism 2. We don't know exactly what went down there, but he did end up streaming alone in his room with his wife, nowhere to be found.
Kidding, I'm kidding. Whoa!
Did he just grab his ass? Buddy, he cupped his balls.
I'm showing this hot tub stream specifically to highlight Rekieta's degeneracy is kind of giving a dynamic view of what his relationships and interactions with other people are actually like, right? He doesn't hang around other people. He doesn't hang around like traditional family, lawyer, Christians, right? He hangs out with other swingers. He hangs out with massive degenerates. You know, I could show you clips of Steel Toe Morning Show and that stream where they where the wife whored herself out on stream. Like, these people are despicable, and yet they seem to be, right now, Rekieta's closest friends.
Put it on the table, they've rejected me.
Look, guys, here's the deal. There's no swinging tonight unless Nick and I get drunk enough when we decide our lips look too tasty.
It's just...
Your girlfriend, whatever. They're all agents of the state. So, moving forward, now men know the truth. Thus, men need to evolve, and the species needs to evolve, because patriarchy will always lead to democracy. Democracy will always lead to authoritarianism. You know, this is the way it's going to work, Nick. It will
what's
always
the evolution look like?
The evolution will be a man.
Typically, when the conversation shifts to Drexel, people always fixate on his behavior, the things he's done, the 13-year-old girl he groomed. There's plenty of things to dislike about Drexel, right? You know, he has a thread on Kiwi Farms for a reason. But the thing that made me really dislike him, the thing that made me realize how insane he was and how insane Rekieta was for entertaining it, was this specific clip. Now, he's actually talked about this a couple of times, so it's not just an isolated incident. This is something he has talked about extensively. His ideal future.
Only society, and then you still have to keep X amount of women alive, right? For
Why?
the survival of the species. Only for the survival of the species.
I thought we had artificial wombs.
No, because the artificial, if something goes wrong, right? You still need X amount % of women to be alive. You need female scarcity. Male scarcity is what creates patriarchy. Male abundance is what creates gynocentrism.
I have no idea what he's trying to say.
So you need so there has to be a point where men go like this. Look, man, we only need to keep 10% of these broads alive. That's it, 10%.
Why do you have to keep them alive? I'm still
In
confused.
the event that the artificial womb something goes wrong, something goes wrong, and you go, shit, we still need to procreate, we still need to reproduce. You're gonna have to keep X amount alive.
So are they like locked up in a cage or something?
They don't have to be locked up in a cage.
What do you do with them?
Yeah, you pretty much have like a herd, just like they do with animals that
Just walk
Chipotle.
around fucking eating grass?
Pretty much. Pretty much. And do you know the reason for this, Eagle? You know the reason for this? Because nothing else has worked thus far, right? Yeah, think about it. Okay, every time an empire rises, what ultimately leads to the empire to fall, Nick? It collapses from within. Usually it's once you empower women. So once you empower women, your empire will fall, period. Doesn't matter what, like Rome couldn't survive feminism. America won't survive feminism. This is how it works. Thus, men need to evolve and go like this. The only thing that men need women for are two things, primarily. For sex and reproduction. So the lover bots are going to take the place of the sex, and the artificial womb is going to take place of the reproduction. But you still need to keep X amount alive in the event that something goes wrong.
So you just build a giant-ass Joanne Fabrics.
No.
And they just walk around in there forever because they'll never check out.
No, women need to compete to survive. So the most feminine women get the privilege of being a fucking concubine for the community.
What's the competition look like?
Well, women now have to compete.
Is it formalized like a sport?
Might as well be.
I'm trying to figure out what this looks like.
Well, okay, think of it like this.
Help me out.
If you're only going to keep, let's say you keep 10 to 20% of women alive, right?
Right.
Okay, so what's that going to look like? Now women go like this. Being fat won't keep you alive, right? Running your mouth won't keep you alive. So
they speak, they die.
You say anything out of turn, you'll get me too. So now, hey, Eagle, I want you to imagine the opposite, right? Imagine the opposite of me too. If a chick talks out of turn, you just give her that look like, did you just? That'll snap. Done.
So you mean you would just break up with her? You don't need the crazy sci-fi dystopian fantasy to do that, Drex. Like, you just tell her it's over. That's all you have to do.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Nick.
Then the counter simp squad runs up.
but there won't be simps.
No, it's the counter simp squad. They run out and they just take out like their Roman pilums and just jab them into
Get rid of them.
They leave them.
Get rid of them.
Leave them there as like an example to the others.
Get rid of them. Because no, hold on. Now, for anyone who thinks I'm an asshole, let me ask you guys this: hey, Eagle, do women care about men at all? Like even a little bit, as a collective, even a little?
Nope.
They just care about what you provide. So Nick, men just need to finally adapt to what women have been since the dawn of time.
Sure.
And have the same in-group preference, right?
Yeah.
The same hive mentality, same collectivist mentality, and go like this. All right, all these broads are for the community. They're concubines. That's it.
So they just have to be like rape slaves, right? Like, is that the idea?
Like rape slaves and war brides? No.
Well, I'm trying to figure. Okay, they're concubines, but for the community. Like,
correct.
why aren't they reserved for the strong?
No, we just run through them. They're concubines. We only keep them alive because just in case the artificial womb does not work.
But then they're currency, right?
Not really.
Really?
They just get passed around.
So dudes
That's what they do anyway.
Like, dudes are happier to just bang out the artificial womb or whatever?
No, the lover bots.
Okay, so there's...
So it's a male only society.
What if the lover bots go sentient? What if they talk out of turn?
Get rid of them. Thanos snap.
Yeah,
Listen,
why would
I
you
want
even
purity.
program that into him in the first place is my question.
Yeah, right?
Listen. We know how this always goes.
Here's the thing.
Suddenly you're going to have a T-1000 lover bot. Come on, and that arm will form into the biggest fist you've ever seen.
Man, it'll be rough.
Open up.
But here's the thing. I see some of the things. Catherine Rule again. Draconian miserable society. Hey, what are we in right now, Catherine Rule? A draconian and miserable society of censorship, blatant misandry. Blatant. So society has already said they don't care about men, right? Oh, Eagle. When men get divorce raped, does anyone care?
Nope. No. See, the thing is, not even other men care.
Yeah, not even other men care, Nick.
Well,
No
you should have
one cares.
picked a good woman then. You just picked the
Yeah,
right
you picked the
Wait,
wrong woman.
Isn't getting divorce rape just a failure of genetics or whatever? Like, that's your own fault, right? Like, survival of the fittest.
Anyone who gets married in the modern culture,
You
fucked
get
up.
evolved out.
Anyone,
Yeah, no,
anyone who gets on one knee
you're
is
both
on one.
right. Yeah, anyone, if you see the way the environment is right
And
now,
you're
and you
still
choose to
getting-
put yourself in there anyway, yeah, it's I don't know what to say, man. I tried to warn
Nick,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
it's
in
like,
2020 still be getting married. Like, come on, bro. In the West, if you are getting married in the West in 2020, come on, bro. Really? Like, oh, I don't know. I've never seen anything Drexel's talking about. Nope. Marriage is perfect. The laws are perfect. They're 100% even and fair. It's like, are you fucking serious?
I want you to think about what you just saw, okay? This is a man who is so desperate to hate women, who is so desperate to validate his own lifestyle decisions, so desperate to blame women for all of his problems. He's just going to sit there and advocate for some crazy sexually deviant society. He's just going to sit there and tell you that women are so fundamentally worthless that they can't be better, that they can't fix their problems, that they can't have relationships with men, that they're completely worthless, like they shouldn't have any freedoms at all, and that this is the ideal future going forward, which of course is completely ridiculous, obviously. But Drexel, in and of himself, is insane, okay? But equally as insane is Nick, and I suppose that cuck, incel, raging golden eagle are just sitting there just like encouraging this. Like, yeah, I don't know what you're saying, but I wholeheartedly support it, man. I don't know how it would work, but it would totally work. Again, Drexel streams were basically hours and hours and hours of this stuff. For me personally, this is just like a particularly extreme version of it, but this is very, very typical for the average Rekieta Law stream featuring Drexel.
Oh my goodness.
Ah, look at it! Look! Ah! Wow. Unbelievable that he actually seriously thought this was a good idea. After years and years of having Drexel on for thought streams and just general degeneracy talk, he decided that in order to celebrate a major subscriber milestone, I believe something like it was after the 24,000 stream. I imagine this was around the 50,000 mark. He decided that he was going to do a thought stream. He was going to parody what the typical thought does on stream. So he dresses in effeminate clothing. He surrounds himself with stuffed animals that apparently belong to his children. And he's going to sit there and be himself.
The Sanders guy, I'm sorry, 5 bits is not enough to have your message read, but it is enough for me to shame you as a poor. Look, if you guys need to see higher socks, you need to send higher bits.
This stream took place during a time where the cope that it's all just a joke, bro, was at its absolute height. The reality of the situation is that, like, nobody should have done this. This was an absolute deplorable thing for him to do.
Hey, old Mandy, well, you came and you gave without taking, but I sent you away, old Mandy.
Although general audiences had been put off by the Baldo, a lot of very dedicated hardcore fans stuck with Nick throughout that saga. And those people became known as the Locals crew. They were people who were donating to Nick directly through some unique payment processor that gave them access to some super special chat room, right? Where degeneracy ran rampant. There were all these problems with like these middle-aged wine moms like showing off their tits and like just being degenerate and just, lusting after Nick, right? Like Nick really seemed to appreciate and value the attention. And his favorite of these so-called wine moms was a woman named Mandy.
Mandy says, Nick, I took a pic, but you don't know if you should post it? What do you mean you don't know if you should post it? Why not? What are you worried about? I saw that one post you made, or the one picture you posted in chat. It was good. People hate your body. Fuck them.
At this point, the locals audience seems to have been cultivated to be a group of people who send sexually suggestive materials towards Rekieta, right? They actively encouraged it. They being Rekieta and his wife. So you had people sending thirst pics over and over and over again, but for whatever reason, the person who seemed to entice Nick personally the most was Mandy.
Nick, can you please shame those of us who can't go to bed because of your locals? Mandy, if you posted the picture, you could go to bed. Mandy, no one would have known about the picture if you didn't mention it. Oh, Mandy, you came and you teased with the picture.
So after this stream, Mandy became the most notorious person in the locals. She was involved in a lot of some of the most degenerate, infamous moments, including like the bottle pick, and we're not even going to talk about the bottle pick today, and some of the other situations in the locals. But it all came to a crashing end towards the end of last year when Mandy's true identity was exposed, not as a hot female goth mechanic from Texas, but as a 40-year-old man who was LARPing as his high school crush. Rekieta fell for an obvious trap.
Some of these Kiwi farmers, some of these commentators, here we go, this is fun. Not only do I know them, do I know their failures? Do I know their social security checks? Do I know their inability to even contact their own family for help? Do I know their desire to leave their own state? Oh, man. Oh, man. I cannot fucking imagine being in the place that this man is.
This, in my opinion, is Rekieta at his absolute worst. The only reason it's not higher on the list, I think, is because it's not as relevant to like the grand scheme of things. This is Rekieta at his most spiteful towards a single individual, someone no one has ever heard of, nobody cares about, no one has any recollection of, nobody's had any interactions with, a man named John.
That he has to go to a YouTube streamer to beg for a shred of attention. Say, please, Rackets, I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, man. Begging is embarrassing. I love you. My family hates me. I can't get a job. I'm so mentally handicapped. I can't do anything. And my name is John. All I want to do, I want to die. I want to put a bullet in my mouth, but I can't afford a gun. Texting me this, by the way. I'm like, hey, holy shit. Brother, you want to kill yourself? Like, that's not good. No, I deserve to die. Well, I mean, probably, but seriously, no, that's not good.
Probably? Is that how you speak to someone who's considering suicide?
Can you buy an Uber and go to the hospital? No, I can't afford an Uber. You can't afford an Uber? Like $8. You can't afford one. Why? I'm on Social Security because we use some piece of shit. But I'm so successful. Oh, man, that's fucking embarrassing. Man, that is embarrassing, right? I'm such a piece of shit. My family hates me. Nobody loves me. I'm just going to kill myself. You're messaging me. You're texting a fucking YouTuber. Holy, oh my God, man, that's embarrassing. Right, John? You're texting me. And I say, what? I'm like, holy shit, please don't kill yourself. First of all, you can't afford the bullets.
I can never say this enough. Nick Rekieta is not funny.
You've already expressed that. You can't afford the Hardys that would kill you either. You're just you. You're just a useless pile of garbage. You can't afford an Uber to the hospital. You're texting me, begging me, please. Oh, man, I'm spiraling. Don't kill me. Don't let me kill myself. I'm like, why? First of all, I can't control you from killing yourself. Only you can do that, brother. Have you tried calling 911? No. I can't spell. I'm Korean. Literally just 911. No. How far are you from the hospital? 4 miles. Why don't you walk towards the hospital and then call 911, tell them where you're walking? Because you cannot do it. Oh my God, man.
Nick Rekieta treats his fans worse than the ordinary person treats their worst enemy. Right? Like, isn't it crazy how he's just sitting there, like, poking plot holes in this guy's story? Like, oh, your situation isn't that terrible. You're just a pathetic human being. Oh, you're on Social Security. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, you're Korean. Oh, you're pathetic. Oh, you can't walk to the hospital. Oh, like how could you get into this mess? I suppose your family hates you for a reason. Who does this? Like, really? Like, who treats anyone like this?
Montegraph is a public figure who came to me, tried to goad me into talking by saying a bunch of bullshit. And then I responded. And everything I responded was based on either reasonable belief in the truth, a joke, a clearly obvious joke, and also opinion.
Currently, Nick Rekieta is embroiled in a lawsuit dispute with the YouTuber Monograph, some weird guy on YouTube who's been going after content creators for over a decade. Right? This guy has been covered by Mr. Medicare and a whole host of other people. He's been causing problems for a long time, and when Nick interacted with him, initially everyone was on Nick's side. Right? Monograph called Nick personally. Hey, Nikki. And they had a dispute about some issue back in 2019. So Nick responded, like he always does, by making fun of him, right? And that descended into the worst possible scenario for Nick because Nick, taking something out of context, believed that Monograph created like a child pornography video or something, and called Monograph a pedo. And Monograph didn't take that well at all, and so he disputed that with Nick, and Nick was just like, sue me, pussy. And so Monograph did. And now Rekieta is in the middle of a lawsuit that he is probably going to lose.
I will be covering my lawsuit against the retard very soon. That full coverage is coming.
This retard really thought it would be a good idea to try and monetize his own lawsuit. He really thought that he would be able to milk Monograph like a cow and just make the same kind of super chat money he made during the Vic Mignogna and Johnny Depp trials. Like, he really thought this would cause people to come rushing to his defense. But no. Unlike the ban from YouTube, which caused a lot of people to speak out on his behalf and support him as he established himself on Rumble and Locals, like, this entire incident was seen by the community as being entirely Nick's fault.
My lawyer advised me not to talk about the case, so obviously I'll be talking about it constantly.
It seems like a lot of the worst things Rekieta has ever done happen off stream, right? We do know a lot of what's happening behind the scenes in the Rekieta household, but we don't know everything, right? A lot of this stuff is up in the air. A lot of this is purely speculative, but we have been able to discern like a couple of major things. And upon making this list, it kind of became apparent to me that the two worst things that Rekieta has ever done seem to be the sort of thing that he would do off stream, which is kind of shocking if you think about it. Like, all the terrible things we've seen from him on stream isn't necessarily the worst of what we've seen. We don't necessarily know everything what's happening, but we do have an idea of what transpired and what's going on behind the scenes. So what exactly happened? What exactly am I referring to? Well, for the number 2 entry of this list, we will be talking about the Jamaican Vacation, Hedonism 2, the Jamaican swinger resort that Rekieta attended with his wife. Now, we don't necessarily know what they did there, but we do know they went. And we do know they tried to cover it up. Nick had like a slip up moment on stream where he talked about how he wasn't like supposed to talk about the trip. He streamed from a room in the hotel that people were able to prove was from Hedonism 2. They were people did like a bunch of detective work. They managed to find that Rekieta was following a bunch of like the big black Jamaican sex workers on Instagram. There's been a lot of very, very suggestive things like in regards to what happened there, right? It seems to be very very deplorable, to be completely honest with you. It's the kind of thing that really made people realize that the Rekieta marriage, the household, it must be at dysfunctional as fuck, right? There's no getting around this. Like, you don't attend a swinger resort if you're completely 100% happy in your marriage. And there's a lot of speculation as to what went down there, why they went. I think they went twice. I think that's been confirmed. And where things are going now. There's talk that they're like doing swinging with like the Steel Toe Morning Show people. None of that's been confirmed, but after Hedonism 2, after all of this came to light, it became very apparent that the Reketas were very much interested in swinging.
Guys, I'm 41. I'm 41. I've spent 20 years of my life not having as much fun as possible because I was worried about the way other people thought about things, the way other people interpreted things, the way other people judged things. And interestingly enough, it was people that were like close to us. And I don't give a fuck about them anyway, because fuck off in general. Like, if you know me, like, I don't give a shit anyway. But certainly, like, don't give a fuck about what people on the internet think. Like, that's a whole separate story. So that's coming. That's coming to me because I don't give a shit. And the second Lady Rackets is there with me, I don't give a shit at all. I'll have fun. I'll have a blast. I don't guys, when you work your whole life for someone else and you have to abide by rules and then suddenly you don't have them, my God, you get to be you. You get to be you. And all I want to do in life is just be me. And me is simple. Me is simple. I'm a horny, happy motherfucker. Those two things. Honestly, and by horny, I don't mean I want to fuck everybody who walks by who's hot. I'll appreciate attractive people, of course. I'll appreciate sexy women 100% of the time, unapologetically. Sexy women are great. I want all women to look fucking fantastic. And then Lady Rackets and I will go home together. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. And I don't really give a shit what other people think or do about it. And as soon as everybody's on the same page as me, fuck it.
What you just saw was Rekieta describing his worst day. What happened on that day? We still don't know. It had something to do with his in-laws and perhaps some kind of intervention in regards to his drinking or his degeneracy, or maybe something to do with that house he owns, with that family living there. There were a lot of hints thrown out over the years that there was something going on behind the scenes that he wasn't completely happy with. And to this day, he hasn't expounded on it, which I find really interesting because he's usually very open about talking about this stuff. To me personally, I think that he's in a position where he absolutely cannot admit that this situation is happening because of how embarrassing it is, right? He still refuses to admit he's a cuck. He still refuses to admit this situation, whatever it is. And to me, like after this stream, after like he acknowledged he had his worst day ever, he started like living out what I call his American Beauty lifestyle, right? He decided he was going to become Kevin Spacey's character in the movie and just do whatever he wanted, right? He was just gonna stream and have fun and not cover legal topics. And if you don't like it, well, fuck you, right? That was his mindset on that. Like he thought that he could just do whatever he wanted and get no pushback whatsoever. But what happened instead was that over the next couple of years, this destroyed his YouTube channel. Right? He has a fraction of the support he used to have. Nobody tunes into his content anymore. There are far superior alternatives. Like the reality is, Rekieta was a major trendsetter when it came to LawTube and the super chat thing and covering live trials and setting the framework for other people to follow him, but he wasn't able to evolve. He wasn't able to stay competitive, and as a result of that, he has been left in the dust, and he is now wallowing in his own degeneracy.